Welcome back, everybody. We are here for BFBS Pro League F125 qualifiers number 6. We're getting to the end game here now, and I have two absolutely incredible casters either side of me, and it's a first. I've been sidestepping you the whole time. Both of you. You know what, Tom, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, hi, I'm Tom Knight. I'm a sim racing and motorsport commentator, and honestly, it's been fantastic being on these shows over the last few weeks. Some fantastic racing that we've been seeing.
And
Yeah,
Zeromus,
I'm
no
Deromus.
stranger.
Whoop.
Yeah, you go. Oh, sorry, I set you up there. You take the stage.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm Deromus. I like to jump in early. I'm also, well, I say a sim racing commentator. I delve more into Rocket League than sim racing. So this was the first time doing something like this when the British Grand Prix came round. So it's nice to be back here. I haven't been back in 4 weeks, so that must say something about my commentary style.
We've just been building up, saving it for the last game, saving the best till the end, you know. Now, let's take a little bit of a look maybe at last week. I don't know how much of it you managed to catch, but was there anything that particularly stood out for you? Any sort of themes, any battles that you were quite intrigued by?
I assume it was one of those. Oh, who are we going?
I'm doing it again. It's all me. I'm sorry. I'm not used to this, clearly. Yeah, so obviously with that Grand Prix, Phoenix had start to finish dominance, right, throughout the entirety time.
He really did. He had, as soon as he was away at Vegas, he never really looked back. There was a couple of hiccups here and there, but actually, as soon as he hit that asphalt, he was away and he was taking that race win right from the very start, realistically.
Now, the battle for third place, I think, was something that you found quite interesting, wasn't it, Tom? Between, I think it was Luke and Runes. Tell me a little bit about that. Break it down for me.
It was one of those battles that you really couldn't take your eyes off for the majority of the race. They were going at it hammer and tong, and into every single corner, it looked like there was going to be an opportunity to make the move past. And it was just right to the edge of your seat action. I was sat in your spot last week doing all the hosting, so I had a fantastic show to watch whilst both guys did an absolutely amazing job calling all the action.
Just hands up, lying back, just enjoying the show. I'm looking forward to doing that today because, I mean, we've got an interesting track on our hand. We are, of course, going to the Australian Grand Prix. But before we go there, let's take a little bit of look about how the actual BFBS Pro League qualifiers works, because we mentioned that this was number 6. Let's take a look at what the whole debacle is about, what we've been building up to and where we're going next. Because, of course, this is qualifier number 6. There will be 2 more after this. And I think should have a little bit of a graphic we can look at about how the points are distributed. So, during qualifying, you get 18 minutes, unlimited run, simultaneous grids, which we haven't really had to deal with too much just yet. But there are extra points added to the overall scoreboard for the top 3 in qualifying. And, of course, there is an additional bonus point for fastest lap. Now, that, of course, sets the stage for the race itself. You can see it all on the screen. I'm not going to hash it out for you. But overall, that means that when you get those points, I think it's the top 10, there we go, get extra points added next to their name. Now, this is qualifier number 6. Some of these players have played in many of these qualifiers. They've really been racking up the points here. And that's where that drop 1 rule comes on in, is that one of your races with the lowest number of points will be dropped. And this ensures that people who haven't been able to attend every race, it keeps it fair across the board there. But we really are starting to get into those final weeks. We're starting to see players really take that lead, and we're starting to see a little bit of a separation here. But that's how the overall system's working. We've got 3 more qualifiers coming up, so really a last chance for a couple of these newer players to come on in and sort of make their mark here. And Jeromus, I'm going to start with you. Has there been anybody that's really stood out to you, either just as an underdog or somebody who's just been dominant throughout, that you really enjoyed watching?
I think honestly, obviously you can call out Phoenix for top of the charts with 80 points total, I think is the score as it stands at the moment. That, or it's not updated for me yet. But yeah, I guess another driver as well that I really want to see stand on that top step has to be Runes here.
Tom, what about you? Anybody else that you want to highlight, or are you kind of echoing the same sentiments?
I think very much the same sentiments. We've had some fantastic drivers coming through the ranks, and you mentioned Phoenix, you mentioned Proven, maybe 2 fantastic drivers, quite possibly the 2 that will be battling out for the championship at the end. I think Stepney Luke is a bit of a wild card. We saw him come in the first week, his first race week, and take victory right from the very get-go. So I think if he'd been in there since the very start, he'd be one of those racers that could have really caused a bit of an upset within the championship itself.
Yes, now, unfortunately, we are going to take a second before we kick off the race. We're going to be holding a minute silence in remembrance of some of the service personnel we have tragically lost in the recent weeks. So I hope you will sit with us in this silence as we remember those we have lost. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back on with the show now. We're going to look to the future, to the race at hand. We hinted at it earlier. If you've been following the social media, you'll know the Australian Grand Prix up next. Now, let's take a look at what makes this so exciting, because it is an exciting track here. Tom, take me through it. I know there's something at the tip of your tongue that you find really exciting here.
Absolutely. Well, welcome to Melbourne, everybody. 14 corners and just over 5 kilometres in distance. A race typically taking just over 58 laps here, but of course under 50% distance, looking closer to 29. It is a real test of drivers' speed, knowledge and endurance, with 4 DRS zones over 2 detection points. Really emphasises the moment of putting pedal to the metal.
Yeah, it does indeed. And obviously, there are some great overtaking points here as well. Down into turn 1 and 2, you get that wrong, you've got a second opportunity at 3 and 4, but also on the back straights as well. You've got a risky opportunity if you really want to chance it around the outside of 9 and 10. But the prime overtaking spot there will be turn 11. Plenty of high speed action around this track.
Certainly is. And of course, we can see the track map on your screens at the moment. We mentioned those 4 DRS zones. We've mentioned 14 corners. And when we get into qualifying here, Jeromus, it's going to be one of those opportunities that you've got to make that first lap count, isn't it? You've got to try and warm up the tyres as best as you possibly can and then hit the ground running, because turn 1 and 2, they come at you very quickly after the exit of 14.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're just a little bit off guard as well, that breaking point into turn 1, you could lock up and all of a sudden you've ruined your lap right off the very get-go. But I think, again, another call out, 9 and 10, you can push them track limits a little bit too far and invalidate your lap. We've seen that happen countless times. I'm sure you have as well, Tom.
Yeah, quite a few times, unfortunately, and invalidated many a runs back in my old days of league racing. And you never know, we'll probably end up seeing that here today. But I think we've got a few moments until we get into qualifying. But of course, Australia, a track steeped in history. Of course, started back at Adelaide, moved to Melbourne back in the late 1990s, effectively, and has had one of the early cancellations back in 2020 through COVID, unfortunately.
Yeah, it did. And 30 years of history around this track. And well, we've seen chaos throughout, a bit of rain here and there, always adding a bit of spice as well. Maybe we see that today. Who knows? You never really know what the game's going to give us. And that always adds another factor. And quite frankly, qualifying, you do just want to nail it on the head right off the get-go. Just set yourself a good banker. And it's the same story every week, I feel.
I'm going to quickly jump back in here. They brought me back just to get things going again before the race. Now, we've actually got the grid graphic ready, and we can take a look at who we're going to be seeing today, because there will be some familiar names, some new names coming on in as well here. And we've highlighted a lot of these people. We've highlighted Phoenix at the top. Runes is always pushing the top here. Stepney Luke, Edward Fleming's not really been slacking here either. And then, of course, there's been a couple of people that we've been loving to see. Hog Devil Dog has been an absolute menace to society in many a race, and has had a lot of fun. It's definitely captured the hearts of many here. Something else I've got to ask you though, safety cars seem to be synonymous with this racetrack, right? I want a prediction from you. How many are we seeing today?
Oh, that's a real tough question. I'm going to go 3. That's my early prediction. The old phrase goes, safety cars breed safety cars. So I reckon it's going to be one of those that will have a relatively early one. We'll have the grid reshuffled and sorted back out again. And then a second safety car will come almost immediately after that. That's my early shout.
What about you, Doremus?
I believe with the amount of drivers on the grid, I think we'll only see one. I genuinely believe one safety car is probably how we're going to see it. I get that the walls are close. I get that you could be a bit nip and tongue, but one safety car is my prediction here, just because of we don't have a full 20 grid. We have 13 drivers on the track, and obviously spacing out can happen.
Now, production's given us their predictions as well. They're saying 0 based off of previous weeks, and we have actually seen a lack of safety car where we really expected to see it at times. So honestly, maybe a little bit of a safe bet. I'm going to go with 3, just so that we've got the whole build up, and if it is absolute chaos and it goes miles above, I'm winning on that one. But I think there's a pretty exciting one coming on here. Now, something else, a little bit of context here, is there's going to be a couple of names missing that you might have expected to see tonight. For full transparency, there's been a little bit of a bug for Xbox in the new update, but hopefully we'll be back to regularly scheduled broadcast, everyone on the track again very soon. But I believe that the race is ready to go. Qualifying's about to start, so this time for good, I am going to be leaving in the hands of Tom Knight and Taromas.
Well, welcome everybody to what is a very rainy Albert Park here in Melbourne, Australia. Typically, we expect sunny skies and hot temperatures, but it looks like the gods have decided that it is going to be a rather wet and windy qualifying. However, that does really throw up a bit of a difficult decision for these drivers here, doesn't it, Daromis? Do they attempt to go for a low downforce package, anticipating the rain will be dry as usual, or are they going to go for the best qualifying time, go a little bit heavier on the downforce, and see what they can do? We can already see as well wet tyres out, which indicating that track surface is absolutely soaking.
Yeah, back in the day, they were called monsoon weather tires. And, well, you could see the track. It's absolutely drenched. And honestly, I swear to you all, now, I had no clue what the weather was going to be when I hyped up the weather. And to see it like this in qualifying is always an interesting one, because you never know how the track's going to develop. Will it dry up as qualifying progresses? Do you want to stick to the wet tires and go for that hard downforce setup? Or do you, as you rightfully said, stick to a low downforce, get advantage in the top speed zones when it dries up a little bit here?
That'd be the question, I think, on everybody's mind. As I'm reading the chat, people want to call it the moist tyre. No, that makes me feel a weird thing. But anyway, Edward G. Fleming making their way through turns 9 and turns 10 in traditionally what would have been technically the third DRS zone. Of course, if you count the start-finish straight as the fourth and final one. But this is a really tricky corner to get right in the next few moments as they head into what is now turn 12 and turn 13. You can ask Oscar Piastri. He had a bit of a tough time with this one in the wet weather conditions.
Yeah, he did indeed, sliding off at this very corner here and getting it parked up. Now, we do have our starting lap very early on. I mean, I thought you would have taken a quick look at the telemetry to see how the weather would be, but Edward Fleming, no, straight out, which tells me, indicates a little bit here that the track might not be drying up at all throughout the next 15 minutes. Their car's sliding all over the place. That's a driver coming right out of the pit lane and straight into the wet. But here we have Fleming then coming into turn 3 uninterrupted after that, well, after that slow lap around the corner. And again, it's just very, very slow. You've got to be careful. Too much power on the throttle, and you're round like there's nobody's business.
It is a really tough one to get. You can see the car of Edward G. Fleming already starting to slide as they make their way down through turn 6 and turn 7 onto what would be traditionally one of the fastest parts of this circuit. It probably still is in the wet weather conditions, but it is interesting to see just how maybe tentatively some of the drivers will take it in their opening laps. And these wet weather tyres, with such deep grooves in them, they can displace about 85 litres of water a second, which, if you want to do, that's a couple of bathtubs, I think, if off the top of my head. They really are effective at getting that track dry, but not necessarily when it continues to rain like it does here in buckets.
Yeah, absolutely. And wrapping up the final sector here, I mean, it's been a relatively clean lap so far, but again, a bit of traffic in the way. That downforce, that wake is going to feel it even more, even in these wet conditions where you feel like you've got barely any. A driver in front is going to cause a bit more disruption. But round the final corner then, setting the first lap of the day, what will it be? It'll probably be a 1:35. Nope, I've overboard that. 1:34.1 on the lap time then to start things off. Edward Fleming just getting that purple time next to the name, but of course we have many other drivers left to go.
So do Ed Charles here as they make their way through turn 4. The opening sector already a little bit slidey, trying to get the power down just a little bit too promptly, and the car wants to snap out quicker than they would like. And again, drifting into turn 6, you see the rear end really wanting to step out on these Formula One cars. They've got such levels of downforce on them, and again, just that rear wing, maybe not quite up to the spec they would like, going very deep at the exit of turn 8, and they run down towards the chicane. This will be a very interesting one to watch, as we do see DeFaze go second fastest with 1:38. Managed to get through the chicane there of turn 9 and turn 10, I was going to say, rather effectively for Ed Charles. Unfortunately, as we mentioned earlier, it does invalidate their run, so they will have to prepare and go again. But the good thing with these Formula One cars and the ERS battery system they have at the moment, they'll be able to charge enough over one wet lap to be able to push again for a second if they've got the fuel, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. But the way this guy's been drifting round corners, you think that tyre wear will start to rack up as well. We're still going confidently into the exit. Will they pull into the building? Well, there's Phoenix, actually, the race hero we've panned to now. And just about to wrap up their lap on the intermediate tyres.
Interesting. And goes fastest with a 1:31.7. So a good 2.5, 3 seconds quick. And I wonder if this is almost certainly the changing point between the tyres. It is still very much heavy rain conditions, as both Proven and Stevie Mac also go into the 1:33s, a 5 and a 7 respectively, for both our drivers in second and third place. I think we are starting to see, if you can find confidence on the intermediate tyres, they are generally a little bit quicker in the wet weather conditions here on F125. We watch on board with Bomber making their return, long awaited here in BFBS Pro League, in towards the final few corners of 13 and 14. And we haven't talked much about turn 14 here, Daromus. It's a really deceptive corner because you want to try and get that power down as quick as you possibly can, but it is one where the rear tends to be a little bit snap happy, so to say.
Yeah, you end up losing traction very early on if you put the power down just that smidge too early, and you end up in the wall on the left-hand side. It's almost like its own variant, especially in the games, it's almost like its own variant of the Wall of Champions here, Tom, where you put the power down, you think you're comfortable, and then all of a sudden, bang, you've lost your rear left tyre. Now, again, a bit of constraint from all these drivers, a bit of conservatism. They don't want to end up smashing their car into the wall because you then get a waiting penalty in the pit lane when you come in for that damage.
You typically do. I think in multiplayer, generally, you can get away with it. They seem to turn into Guido from Cars to get the front wings replaced in multiplayer. But yeah, you're right. In career, you have that waiting period where they can replace the car. Ed Charles goes 12th fastest, a 1:38.3, so a very tentative lap from themselves. We did see Runes earlier as well, putting themselves up into second place. They got a 1:32.2, and the Asset 90 as well have also managed to get themselves into 1:32s, a 1:32.812 respectively. So we are seeing drivers start to find time. I'll tell you what there, Charles, that probably won't help find the excursions of track limits, and the grass generally isn't quicker than the asphalt.
No, absolutely not. But all the times are starting to come through, and you could see the gaps forming already in the deltas. You've got a 5/10 gap between Phoenix and Runes. Runes will be happy with that second place. For now, the Asset a second behind the leader, then improving about, well, just under 2 seconds, looking to probably improve their time. But Ed Charles here on their second flyer, 2.3 seconds off their current time. Gets that corner nailed nicely early on the power, then into sector 3. Got to be hard on the brakes, avoid the car on the right there. And a bit of a lock, a bit of a slide, but it's perfectly fine. Tightens it up nicely, and I think that 38 is going to come down just nicely as well.
Certainly should do. In towards turn 13 and 14 then to finish off the lap, and it's interesting we see the car slide to such a degree, and obviously if you know much about maybe GT racing or Le Mans prototype racing, you have something called known as a slip angle, where it can be slightly faster to get your car at a bit of an angle through the corners. Not necessarily the case for these Formula 1 cars. Charles goes 6th fastest. Phoenix, though, goes even faster. First driver into the 130s, doing a 130.1 across the line. So finding about 2 seconds on their closest competitor. I'll say that's Stevie Mack. Already comes across the line there into the low 132s. Just 0.02 of a second getting off into the 131s. We watch on board with Edward G. Fleming making their way down towards turn number 3 now. What would be the exit of the second or the first DRS zone on this circuit. If you're wondering where they are on the track map in the bottom right-hand side of your screens. Those green marks are the opportunities for the drivers to get the rear wing open. Of course, still using the F1 or the 2025 regulation of Formula 1 cars here. So no active aero in BFBS Pro League quite yet. But at the time being, the rear wing certainly can be enough here in Australia to give some good opportunities to get some passes made.
Yeah, they absolutely can. I'm looking around the track to see where that yellow flag was. It was just a slow driver on entry of the start-finish straight. But Fleming here looking to be flying on these wet tyres on their, what I can only assume is their second lap. I mean, I'd love to see the tyre compounds of the drivers at the moment. How many of them are actually running intermediates? How many of them are sticking to the wets here?
I think that would be fascinating. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe everyone in the 32s and the 33s are on intermediate tyres. There is only a certain way the wet tyres will be able to go to get you towards the line, and we ride still on board with Edward G. Fleming coming the exit of turn 14 up towards the line as the rain does continue to fall here. They go a second and some change faster, puts themselves up into 5th place with a 132.3. And with just over 7 minutes left on the timekeeper's clock, I think this pole position could be anybody's. Adam Thompson, in what will be their first timed run of the afternoon, makes their way in towards turn 9 and turn 10. And again, looking very cool, calm, and collected. We see Stepney Luke jumping up to 2nd place into the 131s for themselves. But Adam Thompson has got something to prove. The extremities of the track limits there as they make their way in towards turn 11, commonly known as a Ascari, weirdly enough, and shares a name with the infamous Monza circuit. But 2 more to go for Thompson here. He's the only one not to set a lap time at the moment. I wonder where he's going to put himself.
Oh, tentative on the throttle as they come round the final corner, then looking to set a decent lap time here as their first comes across the line is a 130.3. The first time to really challenge Phoenix here by about 0.2, and well, cuts the first corner. I don't think they're looking to set another lap time here, but that's an impressive time right off the rip. That's a solid banker for you with 6 minutes left in qualifying.
Exactly, 0.2 then between Phoenix and Adam Thompson. It's a 198 and a 398 for Ps1 and Ps2 respectively. Chewy also making improvements as they came across the line just behind Thompson. They got themselves up to a 131.1. As we watch on board here with Bomber in towards what will be the first corner. I wonder if the rain has stopped. It certainly looks like it's gotten lighter compared to the very start of the session. The rain certainly maybe forming a bit of a dry line on the circuit, but the intermediate tyres are able to offer these drivers a little bit more grip than the start just over 12 minutes or so ago. We watch as they round turn 4 to exit out of the first sector, and this is where we'll see the first indications of how this lap's going to go. Sector 1 here in Australia, a very critical one to set themselves up, and 1.3 seconds improvement already. That would put them in the 34.1. So at the moment, they'll be jumping up to 11th place. We see the Asset 90 as well. Jumps up the leaderboard. They put themselves 3rd.
Yeah, I think this time will be in the 31s. You see the intermediates now being the stronger tyre, and I mentioned that the track might be drying as time goes by, and it absolutely has. And it was evident with Adam Thompson's lap coming out straight on the intermediates at the halfway mark, which means as time progresses, these lap times are only going to get quicker, and it's all about timing your final lap as you come across the line with barely seconds to spare to set that final lap. And Bomber is evidence here to try and, well, mitigate the wet tires completely around the corner of 13 into 14. Of course, pressure's on as you do not want to get on the throttle early. Does that corner quite nicely onto the main straight then. And what's this time going to be? It looks to be a 32.5. Puts him into 10th place, but 2.5 seconds quicker than the wet time.
You'd thought a Navy man would be more accustomed to running in maybe some wet weather conditions. There is still time to find, though, with still over 4.5 minutes left on the timekeeper's clock. We mention as well, of course, Australia being a semi-permanent street circuit. It's run on what is typically public roads 9 times out of 10 around the year, and it's developed into this racecourse that we know and love for Formula One season, amongst other events that happen here in Melbourne Park. So it isn't your traditional venue. The runoff areas for the water and everything like that aren't up to standard that you'd see in a modern day Formula One circuit. So the street element has got something to play with how quickly this circuit will dry up. We see Adam Thompson just invalidating there through the exit, I think, of turn 10 in towards turn 11. So a bit of an unusual place to invalidate the run. Nonetheless, did, well, cover the extremities of the track limit. So will have to go again. With still 3 minutes and 45 seconds left on the timekeeper's clock. Rather, it was on for a very good time, if that is to be believed. A 1:29.6 is potentially in the back pocket of Thompson here.
Yeah, they had a purple second sector there, and it was looking very promising. Ran just ever so slightly wide on the exit of 10 and continued to run wide, which invalidated that time. But are they looking for another run here, or do you think? I think he's holding off a little bit for a final push. I mean, there's plenty of time left on the clock, and this track is still developing. Adam Thompson's going to be disappointed with that one. Could have set themselves nicely onto pole position. But for now, it's just a slow drive around the track, as proven then with a 1:29.3.
Track's definitely starting to ramp up then. That was Chewy as well, just getting past, I think, on what will be potentially their final run. Adam Thompson almost certainly just recharging the battery, preparing to go for one final run when the track will be almost certainly at its optimum conditions. Into turn 9 then for Chewy. Stands in 5th place at the moment, looking to find improvements on an ever-improving race circuit. In towards the final sector, just 3 more corners, or 4 more corners to try and navigate, and pretty much every single one of them at 90 degrees in angle. He's through one, just 3 more to navigate now, and what will be looking like a very solid lap time. I wouldn't be surprised if there's maybe a call to the stewards at the end of qualifying, in reference that Adam Thompson sat almost certainly on that racing line trying to prepare themselves for one final run. But Chewy up towards the line then. They can see that line that they have to try and chase down. Is it into the 1:29s? No, not quite. It's a 1:30.058, but keep an eye on everybody else. The 29s are in sight.
You know, indeed, 4 drivers coming out with the final 2 minutes left on the clock. They want to maximize as much time as possible for this track to develop. Edward Fleming with a 29.8 as well, putting that one into second place as Stevie Mack is on a hot lap here. Nice and tight into turn 3, turn 4. Comfortable as well. Full down on the power now. You've got to be so careful. You don't want to slam the throttle straight away, because that will just result in a spin. Solid stuff so far. A 10th improvement though, as they look to try and find more time through the second sector.
Interesting to note, I think Stevie Mack actually is on a second preparation lap. You can see the yellow bar at the bottom of the screen on their steering wheel. That will be their battery level. They have not used it through the entirety of the first and or second sector, so just getting the tyres up to that working window before going for one final run. And he's going to have to be careful here, because you can see the traffic starting to build up on the track map at the bottom right hand side of your screens. This will be everybody just anticipating their final runs, but you can still see Stevie Mack sat on 100% battery. That yellow bar still full, so he will be going for one final attempt. If we can hopefully, when the yellow flags clear it all through turn 13, this is going to be a very precarious moment now. He's got a lot of drivers coming in thick and fast behind him who want to start their own laps. He's going to be compromised starting his final run as he finds a little bit of grace with 2 drivers into the pits. We watch now Phoenix in towards turn 3 to what will be their final lap.
Yeah, let's see what their first, second first sector delta will be. Coming round turn 4, then into the swift turn 5, usually flat, well, semi-flat out in dry conditions. And we'll come to the break-in zone. That is a 6/10 increase. A purple sector 1 so far. Absolutely flying around this track. Has been start to finish. Well, was on pole until proven. Fleming and Chewy obviously came out at an earlier time to bump that time down, but obviously Phoenix looking to be the stronger driver around here. Proven with a 128.8 though, and that is the time to beat. A second up here will not put them in contention unless the final sector provides. Entering the final couple of corners now. 4 corners left to go. On the brakes, there's a McLaren on the line, but perfectly tucked up there into the, well, third to last corner. Relatively smooth, and they've got to keep it tight. That's a wobble, though. A little bit of time loss. Well saved, though, into the penultimate corner, and it's all or nothing now. Do you apply the power early? Do you risk it all? I think he's taking a bit of a cautious line, just within track limits. Flat out to the line now. And what is the time going to be? Will it be the 28? It will. It's a 28.1 for Phoenix to top the charts.
Stunning stuff from Phoenix there. 7/10 and some change difference back to proven. We saw Stepney Luke go second fastest, now demoted to third, as well as the Asset 90. Holding on to fourth. Next across the line will be Stevie Mack, I believe, just behind. You can see in the track map coming out of turn 14. So the driver down in 13th at the moment. They've already crossed the line by the look of it. They've jumped themselves up to 7th. This is Bomber. Towards the line, goes 10th fastest, improves by a singular position, which leaves just Ed Charles to come across the line in 13th, down at the bottom. I think they're making their way through turn 13 at the moment. You see, invalidated their run, so there will be no further lap times set here in Melbourne Park. It will be Phoenix who starts from the front and gains 3 points to their championship crusade.
Yeah, an absolutely solid lap time there. No dispute about it. Proven tried all they might there. Right at the end, there was still about a minute left to spare, I think, when they crossed the line. 28.8 is no lap time to be frowned upon. Neither. Runes tucked away in third with a 129.1. I mean, it's been an entertaining qualifying session. The way the track has developed, the way it's dried up slowly, I mean, it didn't look too evident, but when you saw drivers out on that intermediate tyre gaining 2 seconds a lap, you knew for certain that this was going to be right down to the wire.
It certainly was, and we'll go through your complete qualifying order in a minute. And Runes, failed to mention him. I think he jumped up the same time Stevie Matt, got a couple of positions gained right at the final time of asking. They'll start from third. And we're going to bring back in Affinity.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be back, and well, a little bit of chaos that we're already starting to see come in here. Couple of questions for you. I mean, Phoenix, just at the very end, saw the name on our tongues, wasn't leading the charge for a large portion of qualifying. There was actually down in fourth for a little bit, which is unusual for us to see. Does this raise any eyebrows? Are we seeing people start to catch up, or was this just another case of Phoenix leaving the ace up his sleeve till the last second?
I think it's a bit of both things. We talk about Phoenix being one of those drivers that can really pull a lap out at the last time of asking, but actually I think a lot of that has to do with the track development. We see how quick it was improving throughout the 18 minutes. It kept getting drier and drier and drier, and actually just hitting it at that right time will give you a good half a second or so in itself.
Jerome, anything to add?
I mean, yeah, it was very much an ace up their sleeve. They left it until the last minute to come out of the pit lane, and obviously there was the most grip at the end of the qualifying session, managing to take up all that space on track, managing to set themselves a pretty solid lap time. I don't think there was anything too concerning there.
Now, the other thing I wanted to highlight is Stevie Mack turned 13. A couple of times we started to see things get a little bit hairy in here with the rain. But as we said, starting to drive towards the end. Was this maybe a little bit of a trial run for what's to come? Or do you think that kind of got it a little bit out of our systems now?
I think there's always a little bit of room for chaos, especially at Melbourne. We've seen it time and time again in history. And again, I'm going to go through a bit of a history lesson over the course of this. We saw multiple red flags, of course, back in 2023. We've seen Schumacher and Hill, they collided.
I'm so sorry to cut you off there. I've been told that the race is ready to go already, so I'm going to have to just let you go here. I'd save all of that for the race. Good luck. And, I mean, fast as the players are.
Well, here we go then, everybody. Earlier than we were expecting, and formation up well and truly underway. Blame the drivers on that one, everybody. Normally we'd have a good 5 or so minutes to get ready. But nonetheless, 14 drivers looking to get ready for what is thankfully a very dry Melbourne circuit here, Jeromus.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously going to add another layer. Like, what kind of setups did drivers use heading into qualifying? Did they stick with their low downforce? Did Phoenix come out with a low downforce setup and could have actually been quicker in qualifying? But as you can see there, 4 drivers currently sat on the starting grid. That's probably because of a collision. They're going to get underway with very cold tires, and that's going to be quite annoying. But as we see here, a couple of drivers already starting on, well, various compounds. You got the medium and hards. I mean, for this one, I think it's going to be difficult to push for a 1-stop. I think a 2-stop strategy here will be the call.
Absolutely. That's probably going to be the saving grace of most of these. And we mentioned safety cars slightly earlier on. Don't be surprised if we see maybe at least one appearance of Bert Mylander over the course of this race. We mentioned earlier, 29 laps here in Melbourne Park, Australia. And there's 4 drivers that start from the back. Hog Devil Dog, BR8, 115, Ed Charles, and DeFaze as well, all starting on absolutely frozen tyres compared to everybody else amongst them. And we should be able to see the tyres here. So 3 have opted for the mediums, they being Phoenix, Runes, and Stepney Luke, wanting a good pull away from the line. Everybody else, so 11 drivers in total, taking the hard tyre right until the very end. So this will be an interesting one to see. Well, drivers taking them long compared to the early sims. We'll see those initial pit stops roughly around, well, there we go, it's on your screen, probably roughly around lap 12 to 13, I'd say, if they do try and attempt that 1-stop. But here in BFBS, we have seen punctures aplenty, where drivers have tried to extend the tyres past their useful life. We watch here Phoenix just casually strolling up towards their pit box, or their grid box rather, to start off the race. Another driver slightly further back who wants to get past the 2 stranded cars of both DeFaze and BR8. I think that is going to be potentially Chewy trying to slot into position, but at the moment, completely out of the way, not anticipating that those cars are going to ghost. But here we go then, 14 cars on the grid for round 6 of BFBS Pro League here on F125. 5 lights are lit, and the lights go out, and we go racing. It's a bit of a weavy pull away from Phoenix up at the front as they try to warm their tyres as best they can. Proven takes the lead though. Stebby Luke into the first. There's loads of drivers leading the session as we see Phoenix off into the grass and the gravel. And oh my goodness, loads of drivers leading. I think we are going to have a red flag here, and this could halt race proceedings.
What on earth is going on track right now? You saw drivers just not coming into turn 1, but I think, yes, this is a race restart. Too many things happening here. That is absolute chaos. We've lost half the grid into turn 1.
But we've just got the text from our production team saying, yeah, there's a reset. I'm glad in both many aspects of the word. We've lost over half the grid, only 6 running. So hopefully Affinity's still here with us, and we can bring it back in the next few moments. So, you know, at least we've seen none of them clearly listened to the history lesson we gave just before we got going. Of course, Schumacher and Hill, that championship collision back when this race was hosted in Adelaide, not here in Melbourne. So there is some really interesting moments to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw one driver not get off the line, and that already raised some eyebrows, and then the contact came, and then everybody decided to bowling ball it through turn 1. So I'm not entirely sure what happened there. Was that just chaos incarnate?
I believe that is what's going to happen. I'm not quite sure where they're going with this. I'm assuming it'll be coming back to us, but someone's denied Affinity of her lovely risotto that was delivered to a door just before qualifying started. So I feel for her, because I guarantee that would probably smelled absolutely lovely. I think Jonah did just try to join our voice call. We're deafened on Discord at the moment, so who knows? Are we throwing back to us? Oh, here we go. Everybody's here.
You were right. I was in the middle of risotto, mid-mouthful. I was sat back waiting for the entertainment, but we're here. Looks like we're going to need a little bit more time to get everything ready to go. But exciting nonetheless. I think this is really starting to build up the expectation for when we are finally able to let everybody loose here. Now, I don't really know there's not too much to go on just yet, I don't think. So what we're going to do, unfortunately, is we're going to head to a short little 10-minute break. And we're going to make sure that everything's ready to go. We just put the final sprinkles on top so it's perfect for you. But yeah, don't go anywhere. We'll be back as soon as we can to get this race properly underway. Welcome back, everybody. Now, you missed the chaos. Well, Tom Knight, talk me through it. You said this was maybe a little bit reminiscent.
It was Spa 1998. Everybody rolling and barreling into that first corner where there was carnage, chaos, front wings, diffusers, everything going flying. Of course, not a massive damage model here in F125, but if there was, there probably wouldn't be much of the cars left.
Yeah, Mr. Log does elite ball knowledge in that chat. Again, I've done it again to Philly. This.
Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. You know, I'm here just to make you guys look even prettier, you know? So, coming into this, we said, I feel like it really sets the tone, doesn't it? That we've already had a little bit of chaos, and I think these breaks as well, I mean, tension's going to be high. And I know there's a couple of players that are in it to win it, but there's also a couple of players that you look at going, I don't think you're quite done with the chaos just yet, are you? And Taromus, I mean, are there any players that are sticking out to you that you think might be those agents of chaos?
Oh, you cannot pin it on one particular name, can you? Absolutely
Just
not.
all
It
of
all
them.
depends on the start. Like, the start is always chaos, regardless of what race, what experience you're in. You're always a bit nervy heading into turn one. So hopefully we do not witness another massacre of Spa 98 again into turn one. But we pray for some good racing now. The formation lap to get underway cleanly, and now that we've actually got the timings ready, there won't be another false start.
Yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed on this one. Now, maybe asking about anybody that hasn't seen this before, just if you were to sum up in 3 words, this track, give me the 3 words to describe somebody who's never ever before witnessed the Australian Grand Prix.
Monaco, but faster.
Ooh, okay. Dromus?
Yeah, I was going to say Monza, but Monaco. Yeah.
Monza but Monaco. We're getting a little bit of a vibe going on here. Now, I believe we are just loading in, so we'll be heading in any sort of moment now. To Romus, any final thoughts to tee up this race?
Well, good luck under the 29 laps. It's a sunny Grand Prix here for this Australian track, and hopefully we get some good overtaking opportunities. Plenty of chances for that.
Tom Knight, what about you? Any fighting words for the players?
I think as long as they keep it clean, it's going to be one of those races that should, in theory, give us some really fantastic moments.
That being said, I believe the races are ready. I believe you guys are ready, and I'm going to leave it in your hands.
So, here we go then, everybody. Attempt number 2, Electric Boogaloo for the Australian Grand Prix for round 6 of the BFBS Pro League here on F125. We've had a red flag, very similar to that in 2023, and a few drivers here, Duromas, hoping that their race today will go somewhat like Braun's back in 2009, winning on debut here in Australia.
Yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic for some of the drivers, but is Phoenix just that bit too far to reach? We'll have to find out as these drivers get in the way. But I feel like I've just remembered Parc Fermé rules are going to be scrapped now, aren't they?
They are, and that was one thing that I was really going to talk about during this formation lap. We await the singular red light for us to get ourselves underway. It's going to be an interesting one because if drivers are prepared and planned for a wet qualifying, but then maybe have the setup advantage for a dry race, that really now resets the boat, because those that maybe compromised themselves in qualifying, or sorry, didn't compromise themselves in qualifying, have actually had a massive step up in advantage now.
Yeah, absolutely. And something to note as well is that Phoenix has switched from the medium to the hard tyres here in the formation lap. They're going to extend their stint, maybe even try a one-stop.
I think that potentially might be what they're trying to do. As we saw earlier, there was 3 drivers on a set of the medium tyres. It's now just 2 drivers that are opting for the softer compound of tyre. No one, somewhat unexpectedly, going for the soft tyre to start us off here. But yeah, the typical strategies are going to be your medium hard or your hard medium. Roughly around lap 12, well, 12 laps on the medium, 17 laps or so on a set of the harder compound of tyre. But then you can go for that 2-stop, traditionally with 2 hard tyres and a medium as well. And we'll see how that all unfolds slightly later on in the race. It's just runes of the asset then, the start mediums, everybody else on the hard compound of tyres. It's going to be a case of looking after your front wing, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I'm here thinking about strategy. Is a medium soft too much to ask for? Is that too degrading on them tyres?
I don't think it's necessarily a tyre degradation question that you'll be asking yourself. It's more a question of how long the pit lane is here for potentially the benefit that outweighs it. You know, the one stop is always going to be quicker here in Australia. The two stop is somewhat favoured, but again, relies on maybe some safety cars or maybe just looking after your tyres a little bit. Again, if you want to try and push for that medium soft, you can do it. It just takes a little bit of time management. But if we throw our minds back to, I believe, Singapore and Silverstone, that's not Singapore, sorry, Austria and Silverstone, we saw a couple of punctures in both of those races where drivers were just struggling, managing to keep their tyres in the correct operating windows. We now, thankfully, have only got 2 disqualifications, making that 3 with Stepney Luke not parking in accordance with their grid position. But with all 14 drivers getting themselves in their allocated grid positions, we are literally seconds away from going racing. A few of them missed their grid position. They will be starting slightly further back compared to those that park. And ignore that disqualification in the bottom, because here we go for round 6 of the BFBS Pro League on F125. 4 and 5 red lights once again in Australia. The lights go out and we go racing towards turn number 1. Then Phoenix with a better pull away, but side by side, Runes and Proven in towards the opening corner. Runes almost forced off the circuit, holding the extremities. The asset's out, the asset's gone in the first corner already. Virtual safety car's been called, everybody. We got exactly 1 corner, and the virtual safety car, or a full course yellow, has been deployed. Stevie Mack with a 10-second penalty for a severe collision with the asset that could have led to that early retirement.
Well, it might have been a late bit of braking for Stevie Mack, underestimating how slow cars will actually end up being heading into turn 1, and that's unfortunate for the asset. Not even getting underway for what is a quarter of a mile of straight there. Right, and you can see it in the background, gravel flying everywhere. The asset just straight into the wall as we get a replay of this race start sideways on, and that is, oh no, I don't think it's really anyone. I don't think it's anyone's fault there. That's a turn 1 crash where drivers have just run a bit wide. They've got a bit too tetchy, and that's just unfortunate.
It really is. You can see the asset was pretty much perpendicular to the racing circuit when Stevie Mack came barreling off the circuit, I think trying to avoid other incidents that were happening in and around it. And unfortunately, that front right tyre on board the asset's car being detached. But thankfully, we go green flag racing as the cars enter in towards turn number 12. So we will finish this first lap under green flag, but already Phoenix with a great advantage, 1.1 seconds, but losing some time already to Proven to slightly further behind. We've got more cars wanting to try and get involved, as we do see Phoenix with the fastest lap of the race so far. The car right to the extremities, the right hand side of the start finish straight, maybe just trying to break some toe in the early stages here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a smart decision. You've got plenty of power coming down that straight, especially when you burn all the ERS as well. I guess getting out of the way, I mean, it's an interesting strategy as contact is made there out of turn 3. That is BR 8115 making contact with Hot Devil Dog as well. Just not watching their surroundings, getting picked up twice there. They're going to fall right down the rear order, a couple of seconds behind now, and that's, again, just a bit of misplacement by BR.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think just trying to recover from that earlier contact with either DeFaze or Stevie Mack, and just went right in towards the path of Hog Devil Dog. Both of the cars spinning around. As you see, Runes just behind our race leader here at Phoenix, getting past Proven as they made their way to the exit of turn 8. So Runes now stands in second, Proven in third. We get a replay on the right-hand side. Yeah, there's that contact. It's actually Stevie Mack that got through. So it must have been DeFaze, the earlier contact, BR8, then obviously collecting Hog Devil Dog. Both cars spinning around at the exit of the corner. We ride them all with Phoenix. 1.6 seconds to the advantage. But Runes has found a second gear here, as they've got a 1.5 seconds in tow to Stepney Luke. I wonder if Proven maybe has a bit of damage here, because they seem to be dropping quite considerably from where they originally were in second.
Yeah, there might have been some contact made there with Runes in the build-up after the virtual safety car. But yeah, Stepney Luke getting into third place. They'll be happy with that. But Runes now on the chase for Phoenix, and that gap has come down by about 0.4. So it's definitely one to look out for now. But right now, a battle in the third place. A bit of a train forming from 3rd to 7th here.
You typically will see it here in Australia, the number of DRS and more yellow flags, as I think that's Ed Charles just dropping down the order. The exit of turn 5 and 6. It's a narrowing pinch point on this circuit. You don't want to try and go too wide. We watch on board here with themselves. They've got DeFaze, who just managed to make the move past further forward. Proven has got him past Stepney Luke once again to retake a podium position. We see the DRS zones now being activated. A little bit of weaving on the start-finish straight as Adam Thompson also gets the better of Chewy at the exit of turn 10. And Charles just hanging on around the outside of turn 9 into 10. A penalty being applied to both FaZe and BR8. We actually saw DeFaze taking a little bit of liberties with track limits through the opening of turn 10, and once again just wide in towards turn 11. So I wonder how much now they're overdriving the car to try and put pressure on Ed Charles, and actually it's doing the opposite effect, not necessarily helping their own race in the end.
No, that was a question I was going to ask you, and unfortunately it came at lap 3. I was like, when do you see the first 3-second time penalty given for track exceeding? And well, it's only taken 3 laps. It's a very difficult track to nail down, especially at the pressure. That's a contact made there. Proven hitting the rear end of Stepney Luke, but they keep it tight on track, and this train will only stray further away from Runes and Felix, who are starting to form a comfortable gap in first and second.
Certainly are, and we remind you that Stevie Mack with that 10-second penalty for that earlier collision with the assets. We got Proven swing on past Stepney Luke with the assistance of the drag reduction system. We see as well Edward G. Fleming trying to go too wide through 9 and 10, forced to the extremities by Stepney Luke, defending that position as much as they can, but still they run 2 by 2 towards turn 11 now. Can Edward try and swing one around the outside? They're still making contact as neither of them want to give up an inch of racetrack here. Edward once again forced round, but Stepney Luke hanging on by the closest of margins. Here comes Adam Thompson as he wants to try and pick up the pieces left by Fleming. Looks towards the inside of the final corner. Fleming holds it, has a bit of a moment through the corner, but at the moment it's still Fleming, Thompson and Chewy, 5, 6 and 7.
Yeah, this battle's not over for 5th place, though, as Fleming made that wobble. You expect an overtake down the inside, maybe a bit hesitant, running wide off the grass. There is Adam Thompson falling back down the pecking order, and this train resets itself. Chewy trying to take advantage now of that second DRS, not catching up to Fleming there, though. But again, when you see trains form like this, you see drivers getting a bit impatient and start making moves that they wouldn't usually make, which causes these incidents to happen. But right now, I guess rubbing is racing, right?
For the most part, of course, yeah. We remind you that motorsport is a non-contact sport, albeit the drivers like to believe that it is the other way around. And of course, we typically won't see much action. Stevie Mack there getting the better of Bomber with the assistance of the drag reduction system. I think they're still close to one another, just 3 tenths separating them in towards turn 9 and 10. But Stevie, albeit with that 10-second penalty over his head, as Bomber now picks up a 3-second for track limit violations at the exit of turn 10. What I was going to say before that battle started to erupt in front of our eyes is Stevie will have to serve that at the first pit stop that they do. So he's maybe going to hope and go long and hope for a safety car here, where that 10-second deficit is somewhat reduced and nullified in aspect where all the cars bunch back up together again.
Yeah, it's going to feel like an absolute eternity in that pit lane, though, regardless of the scenario. The safety car could come out, and then you're stuck in the pits an extra 10 seconds anyway. That's a 34-second pit stop. If I've got that correct, it's a long pit lane and quite a fast straight as well. This is a long main straight, but it looks like BR8115 has left the session, looking to probably rejoin their sack, currently in 11th place, but Runes is getting caught up by Proven here, who's managed to pick up ground again after that initial phase.
Yeah, you lose about 18.5 seconds here in terms of a pit stop. Add on that 10-second penalty, you're not far off. About 30 seconds he will lose once they're able to serve it, and that's not even including should a front wing need to be changed. And by the look of it, that front wing is intact for Stevie Mack. We'll have a look in a few moments as Adam Thompson now right on the rear of Chewy through the chicane of turn 9 and turns 10. Up towards turn 11 with the drag reduction system open for the final time on this lap before they hit the start-finish straight. We see Stevie Mack trying to close in behind and Bomber close in tow, which will turn this 3-car battle potentially into a 5-car train to see us on towards lap 7 here of 29. Not far off where we're expecting drivers to hit off of the mediums. Around lap 12 we expect for those medium runners, and not until lap 17 for the hards, should we not see a safety car in the opening stages of this race. Edward Fleming gets the better of Chewy, but coming back at Runes here is Proven in towards, I think that was turns 3 and turns 4 up at the front, and Adam Thompson still just playing second fiddle this battle for 5th place on track. And that battle up at the top here is now become a 3-car battle between Proven Runes and Stepney Luke. All of those drivers wanting to try and get involved in the action. I wish we were watching up for that podium fight.
Yeah, the more this happens, though, the more Phoenix is going to pull away and essentially give themselves a pit window of their own to slot into at this rate. But right now, it is entertaining for 2nd place. Runes just thought they saw an opportunity on the entry of turn 3. It looked like Proven ran a bit wide, but managed to keep it in touch. But an overtake around the outside would be ambitious from Runes. Thinks better of it, tucks back in to the racing line, and now a potential overtake to happen here on the exit of 11. Plenty of speed, and it looks like, oh my goodness, Stepney Luke has dived down to make it 3 wide, and that is a 3-way contact piece. And it looks like, who came out with the better there?
I don't think the stewards can be happy about that one. Yes, it was 3 wide into turn 11, a corner where you typically can't expect to go more than 1 wide, realistically. 2 cars, let alone 3. And Adam Thompson, I think, taking advantage, or thinking they had the advantage. Yes, they were alongside, but then they went incredibly deep into the corner. Outbreaks not only themselves, but both cars behind them of Fleming and Chewy. I think there'll be a few stewards reports sent in about that one. We watch Stevie Mack here. Now on the back of Chewy. That's a day late and $1 short for Stevie Mack. In towards turn 3. He was getting that move done whether anyone else liked it or not, and forced off the track by Bomber. But Chewy again, there'll be some stern words said in that cockpit, because Stevie Mack sent him from the last postcode.
That was a ridiculous dive by Stevie Mack. I mean, there's a gap, whenever there's a gap, you've got to find the overtaking opportunity, right? But that's outrageous. Look at that on the right of your screen. I mean, there was no room for that overtake to happen. There was no right for it to happen, but at least this battle still continues as we head through 10 and 11. A bit slippery from Stevie Mack, runs wide. We'll get the DRS, but again, it's more Chewy looking to overtake Bomber here down the inside. A bit of weaving on that straight. It looks like Chewy's going to go around the outside. Will they find the opportunity? Not quite. Backs away from it.
Yeah, at least I think on the part of Stevie Mack, he gave that place back to Chewy, but we must remember Bomber as well got through after that earlier collision between both Stevie and Chewy, so he is still down a net place from where he thinks he should be at the end of this lap. He will be expecting to be in P7. He's got Bomber just in front of him as they head in towards turn 1 to start the 9th lap of 29 here at the Melbourne Park circuit, and we're still right on board with Chewy, still remaining penalty free, which is an accomplishment you must congratulate at many parts here in Melbourne, because you can see the penalties stacking up on the right hand side of the timing tower. There's a number of drivers now with warnings and penalties to their name.
Yeah, only one of them could serve it in the pit lane, though, and Stevie Mack being held up here by their own device and also hitting that wall rather hard. Will be trying to make up ground, but being stuck behind Chewy here is going to cause even more frustration for Stevie, and Chewy just trying to drive their own race, and I respect it. 0 penalties so far. Don't want to cast the curse that one, but looks to go round the outside of Bomber then into 10. Will they make the move stick? They will before the corner and allow them to pull away here in this second DRS zone.
Absolutely, good use, and you get the double dose of DRS, the detection point coming out of turn 6. If you have it for that straight down towards the chicane, you also have it on the run down towards turn 11, regardless or not if you get the move made. So get a move done in towards turn 9. You then have a second bout of DRS to use at your disposal to help defend in towards turn 11. We watch up at the front here, the battle for the second position on the podium. It's Stepney Luke and Proven trying to go side by side. Got a yellow flag. Bomber Brown, I think, has dropped it at the exit of turn 13. You can see the little dot on the bottom right-hand side, just not necessarily moving. Runes as well is, I'm going to say, into the pits, I'm assuming, or going into the pits for Runes then. An early stop off of the medium tyres. A replay here for what happened to Bomber Brown. Yeah, just dropped it at the exit of turn 13. So Runes dropping down from what was 4th place on circuit. He's now down to 10th and makes his way out of pit road.
Yeah, it's come out at an awkward place, though, right behind Ed Charles on them fresh set of what I can only assume is hard tyres. Looking to try and pull a gap on Proven then, and maybe even attempt to catch up to Phoenix. But right now, Stepney Luke battling Phoenix, and this will help Runes in the long run as we head out of 11. DRS will come wide open for Stepney, looking to make an opportunity, but probably a bit too far back. 4/10's not enough ground to gain. As we pan to Runes then, overtaking Ed Charles, will have 2 seconds of time to really let that engine free.
Certainly so. I see, Runes just starting to get those tyres up to temperature once again. And you mentioned remaining penalty free. That is going to be such an important thing throughout the course of this race. And next target in front will be Bomber. Of course, they've got 3 seconds to their name, so would in theory get them on track. But the undercut, a very powerful tool here in Melbourne Park. It is an opportune moment to get some extra ground, especially if you get out of some free air, to run down and try and chase out your competitors. Up at the front, Stepney Luke gets the position for second place, defeats Proven. That's going to be as they make their way through the complex of 3, 4, and 5. And Proven just holding on by the barest of margins, I'd imagine, round the outside of turn 5. We jump to it now, and we see Proven in the lead of Stepney Luke. But I think this is going to be the battle that we probably will be focusing on for the majority of this race here, Daromus. It's going to be one that I think could be decided in the pits. I don't want to sound too pessimistic, but it's a very slingshot circuit here as Melbourne.
Yeah, and a correctly timed pit stop here for Runes will probably give them the slingshot. They're en route for a fastest lap at the moment of the race so far. Purple Sector 3 to wrap things up, but Stepney Luke looking to try and overtake here. We don't quite see it at the moment, but Runes down the... I can only see the outside of Bomber. Didn't quite make that move stick, but looks to go again here down the inside. It looked to be closed off, but managed to force their way through and up into 8th place.
Runes take a bow. That is simply spectacular. Using the runoff for the exit of turn 10 and sending it down the inside of turn 11, knowing you have more grip on those fresh, harder compounded tyres and really wanting to work them to their absolute limits. We ride back on board now with Stepney Luke making their way through the opening sector. And a move was made here last time, so keep your eyes peeled. Is he going to send it down the inside of turn 3 again? No. He fakes a move on Proven, and I wonder how out of position this is going to make Proven in second place, but it seems to have not necessarily messed with the mind of him quite yet. We run through turn 5 to the exit of this first sector. Stepney Luke's attacks have been absolutely defended by Proven this time around, and it'll be a case now of recharging the battery, waiting for that opportunity to go again. They pass through the detection point at the end of turn 6 through turn 8 now, and they will have the DRS in towards turn 9, and once again down towards turn 11. We watch here with Runes. He's in a bit of no man's land at the moment, it would appear. 6.5 seconds up the road to Stevie Mack, and has gapped Bomber by a good, considerable 3 seconds.
Yeah, they have indeed. And obviously, as these DRS trains occur, Runes is going to struggle to really catch up with the amount of battery they have in their tank. So right now, it's all about setting consistent laps, putting in faster lap times than the drivers up ahead, and seeing what you've got left at the end of it. And Stepney Luke starting to fall back a little bit, and the DRS helping them stay within Proven's grasp. But Proven, stick to their lines. It's kind of what you're told very early on in racing. Don't worry about the driver behind you unless absolutely necessary. Hold your line. Don't worry about where they're going, and just keep on it. And as I say, that Runes with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix.
Stunning from Runes there, and we jump back aboard to Stepney Luke. The battle that's going on. Chewy's got the better of Edward G. Fleming as well in towards turn 3. That is seeming to be the favoured overtaking opportunity for a number of our drivers here, especially as the medium tyres do start to wear away. We've got one other driver who started on that medium compounded tyre. We wouldn't be surprised if they do end up pitting within the next few laps, but everybody else starting hard, potentially waiting for that safety car. BR8 gets the better of Ed Charles through the exit of turn 4 into turn 5 again, and this is where that first sector is really paying dividends to open up effectively the really fast middle sector that you only have to do maybe one dab of the brakes through turn 9, but even then, that's in sector 3. So actually into turn 6, a little dab of the brakes to get the car rotated. That's all the braking you realistically have to do. In that middle sector, we saw a battle there. Further back, Chewy and Edward G. Fleming going side by side. Through turn 11, a little bit of contact between the two. Chewy holds the position for now in towards 12 and 13 and 14 to the inside. Looks Fleming. That was very late. He was very brave to try and stick a nose down the inside. Hasn't paid off this time around. As they come out of 14, a little bit of a wiggle, and this could allow Stevie Mack to really try and push down towards the opening corner. They're still closing in on one another. It's looking close as we get the worst helicopter shot this game gives us. I have no idea what's happened, but yellow flag nonetheless, as I think that might be to FaZe, who is now a lap down, finding the grasp of the exit of turn 5.
Yeah, that helicopter shot could have been more Monaco, what has happened moment there, where you look at turn one and you cannot see anything, but this battle still remains. Fleming ahead of everyone at the moment after that ambitious attempt into 14, but hey, here we go. It's good racing so far. I mean, there's going to be a few complaints, I'm sure, later on down the line when I have to review these, but double DRS then, and it looks to be the opportunistic Chewy, and that's a collision. Stevie back into the grass.
I think that was Chewy just trying to play what was a defensive game on Edward G. Fleming as they went round the outside in towards turn 9. And I think Stevie Mack, somewhat the scapegoat in that race, didn't necessarily know who was there. He was a little bit optimistic to try and send the move straight back across, but it could be coming together. It's a very high speed section of the circuit, and Stevie's late on the brakes once again in towards turn 13. We get a replay of this moment, actually, as they swoop around the outside. I think that's actually on Stevie from Second Reflections. He's trying to open himself up to get past Edward Fleming, and actually that has not necessarily given him the best of race results. We've had a retirement from DeFaze at the exit of turn 14. That looks to be on the circuit. Hopefully that won't cause a safety car at this moment in time, because we are having some fantastic battles up and down the field. We've got this one that is effectively now a 4-car train for P5. We mustn't forget the battle for P2 still well and truly underway between both Stepney Luke and Proven.
Now, if there was a safety car, this would benefit the second and third place drivers, as you mentioned, because Runes is now charging through, trying to get through this train, and is doing well so far. And Proven has some DRS to work with, and this battle has been a constant back and forth between the two hard tyre runners. It's been entertaining from start to finish, but Runes charging through the pack as DRS for this one. We'll probably look to try and make it past Fleming. A dive on the inside, a lot of weaving on the track, makes it difficult for Runes, but Fleming makes an opportunistic move and has disappeared off the track. Yeah, gone completely off and made an absolute hash out of that one, which leaves Runes isolated with Chewy then. This will be a prime opportunity to get into 5th place as we exit 14.
It's a very interesting move. We've seen it a couple of times before in this race in towards turn 11. You are constantly ducking and weaving to try and get that inside line into turn 11. But actually, as we've seen over the course of this race so far, the moment it goes wrong, there is no room for recovery. You are straight off in towards the grass and the gravel, and Edward G. Fleming learnt the hard way there, what outbreaking not only yourself but everybody else causes. Quite aptly down at turn 11. We ride on board with Proven now, who has got the straight line speed. He had been passed by Stepney Luke for one time around, but it is going to be Proven retaking second place on the circuit. And don't forget the double dose of DRS that he will get through turn 9 and turn 10. Looking to try and open up the corner with Stepney Luke, but I think with the drag reduction system in full effect for Proven here, it's not going to pay off for him. He'll have a little bit of slipstream in towards turn 11, and this is maybe where he can try and clasp some of that gap back at the moment, but it's not looking too successful at this moment in time. Proven still holds second place. Stepney Luke in third, rather. But we have to talk about Phoenix here. We're over halfway through this race here, Jeromus. Phoenix, nearly 15 seconds in the lead of the Australian Grand Prix.
Yeah, 0.8 seconds a lap quicker than everyone else on track, it seems, and just living a comfortable life out in first place. Reminds me of the Max Verstappen 2023 season, where you see them in the lead and that's it, off you go. That's just the end of that one. But Stepney Luke looking to try and make an opportunity into turn 3, but again, just playing the patient game now. Probably trying to recharge some of that battery as well, exploited down the entry of turn 12, because you want to stay close to the driver in front, and this, well, the dirty air can cause a bit of disruption, especially in that final sector.
You're absolutely right, and I'm surprised neither Proven or Stepney Luke are maybe going for the undercut here, but I think it'll be a case for Stepney Luke here of surely whatever Proven does on this lap, you go and do the opposite, because you will want to try and offset your pit strategy compared to the driver in front. They use the DRS, swoop around the outside of turn 9, get the car comfortably stopped into turn 10. We've got a yellow flag down at turn 3. Car has got going again. I think that is going to be Chewy that's had a bit of a moment down in that corner, but Stepney Luke holding on at the moment. We get a replay on the right-hand side, and that's actually with Edward G. Fleming, I think, just locking up as they made their way into that corner, which has allowed Chewy right onto the back. And then we see tyres here at the front 3 yet to pit. Stevie Mack, of course, one of those still to pit. Runes pitted earlier on off of the medium compounded tyre, but everybody from 6th down to 12th, fresh set of mediums to see them through the race. Stepney Luke and Proven both into the pits at the same time.
Yeah, and Runes will jump up into second place, but these pit stops now, it's a very aggressive end to the race. It's now just a dash to the finish line, but you've got to be wary of tyre management as well. We've seen punctures galore in this series already. Will we see more? I mean, maybe. There's 12 laps to make it happen, right? But right now, plenty of battle going on as Ed Charles does take the final points paying position, but there's a bit of contact made behind as well with BR and Bomber fighting like crazy, trying to get an advantage, and Bomber diving it down the inside, almost picking up Ed Charles as well.
Certainly so. They're still or worse side by side as they made their way through 13 and 14. We've got just over 12 laps to go here in Melbourne for the Australian Grand Prix for round 6 of the BFBS Pro League here on F125. And once again, you see Bomber there just going wide at the exit of the first corner. Not necessarily what you'd want to be doing on brand new medium tyres. Any grass, any gravel that those pick up will really start to hamper your race. And I'm watching Phoenix here. They are yet to pit in this race. They're still going as they enter onto lap 18. And that's a very creative use of track limits for Ed Charles, making their way through turn 5, cutting entirety of the apex, still staying ahead of BR8. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if there's maybe a few complaints about that track limit, because they've cut the entirety of a corner.
Yeah, I mean, surely you have to hand that position back, right? Were they ahead when they cut that corner? Surely not. But it looks to be that the game has deemed it that way, and that's contact!
That's Hog Devil Dog going round then at the exit of turn 10. We said it could happen. It was a corner that is so notorious for drivers trying to go too wide, and we await the replay of that one because I really hope we get to see it. But for the time being, BR8, here we go. Watch on the right-hand side of your screens. This is the replay of what exactly happened. It was car just getting a little bit loose, trying to slow themselves down. And actually, yeah, Hog Devil Dog, after already what was probably a brown trouser moment coming through turn 10, trying to recover back onto the circuit. And then, yeah, just gets flipped by a car as they make their way through that high-speed chicane. It's one that you have got minimal time to react. And if you do react and overreact, which you so tend to do through turn 10, you will sometimes find yourself in a barrier. We see BR8 still on your screens with Ed Charles and a Bomber behind. They're scrapping out for the last of the points-paying positions, although this will truly be on circuit with 12 seconds to Bomber's 6. I don't think Ed Charles will end up on the points here this afternoon unless we see a dramatic change of faith by our race control and their stewards at the end of this Grand Prix. Bomber tries it around the outside now of turn 8, leading in towards turn 9 and 10. The DRS, the drag reduction system, in favour of Bomber. He waited for the exit of turn 6 where the detection point is, and that is what's going to pay dividends for him here this afternoon. He'll have the double dose at the exit of turn 10 as we see up at the front. Stepney Luke gets the better of a few cars. And I think Runes has made a mistake because they might be round as they've dropped down to 5th place, unless it's a second pit stop for them.
No, it's a second pit stop, I think, as they come back out and try, 8 seconds behind Adam Thompson. So it's going to be an even quicker dash for Runes now on a fresh set of mediums, hoping to find the offset late on in this Grand Prix. And again, that was another question I was going to ask you, was that, do you reckon he'll go 19 laps on the hards, or is that too laborious of a task? And, well, again, pitting there for the second time. Does Runes looking to make a final charge, but has that compromised their race?
I wouldn't say it's compromised, because in theory now they can probably run the mediums or even a set of softs until the very end, because those tyres, the soft tyres can do 9 laps until puncture, so he'd be risking it if he opts for a set of the soft tyre, but never say never here in the BFBS Pro Leagues. We see Proven gets past Stepney Luke. This is Chewy around the outside of Edward G. Fleming into turn 10. Stunning move from Fleming there to get the better of, stunning move from Chewy, should I say, to get the better of Edward G. Fleming in towards turn 9 and turns 10. And again, the double dose of DRS is helping Chewy to stay ahead. But yeah, I think trying to go 19 laps on a set of tyres as Fleming gets the move back again in towards that corner. I wonder if that was just handing the position back, because that looked very wide in towards what was turn 12 and turns 11. You probably won't want to go more than 17 laps on a set of hards with how many punctures we've seen in this series so far. I don't think any of the drivers will want to risk it.
Yeah, and as you were talking about that, and a bit of aggression from Chewy there. Phoenix has made their one and only pit stop on lap 20 of this race. Literally waited for everyone else to pit, found their own pit window, and just tucked themselves nicely. So that's going to be them comfortable from start to finish.
Tell you what, they must have been looking after their tyres as well to be able to get them until lap 20, because all the data that I've got saying they can go 17 laps until they puncture. So must have been driving the most relaxed race of their life, just making sure they don't put too much stress through those Pirelli rubber and making sure they get until the pit window. And as you said, just waiting for that opportunity to open up for them, as we again see Chewy and Edward G. Fleming having a good scrap in towards turn 9. This time Chewy, like they did this time last lap, gets the better of Fleming in towards turn 9 and turns 10. I think Fleming now having to recharge the battery. You can see the rear light of that car flashing, showing that they're harvesting some of the electronic recovery system. Hog Devil Dog picks up another 3-second penalty to add to their race time, and a lot of drivers now falling foul to that. We watch up at the top. Stepney Luke now trying to get the better of Proven in towards turn 3. The DRS zone helping the driver get the move made. And they've also got Adam Thompson for company. We must remember they also have 6 seconds worth to their name at the moment. Chewy and Fleming still scrapping it out in the background. There's 2 fantastic battles going off on the screen in the moment.
Yeah, I think Runes would be loving this as well. The more they battle here, the more they're going to fall down the delta. So Runes 7.5 seconds. Keep an eye on that one until the last couple of laps as well. I just saw a replay in the top right corner. Couldn't see what that was, Tom.
I couldn't quite. I think it was the battle slightly further back as well. We watch here Chewy on the back of Edward G. Fleming. They're making their way through turn 6, 7 and 8. The long right-hander here, which opens up the opportunity to try and chase down towards that chicane. The battle up at the front is still looking invigorating between Stepney Luke and Proven, and as well Adam Thompson, who's dragged themselves kicking and screaming into that fight, albeit with penalties to their name. But they're going to keep racing on the hope that the drivers in front of them continue or maybe gain some penalties in the latter stages of this race. And Thompson losing the car, the exit of turn 14. We spoke about that at the start of the race and how catastrophic it can be if you put the power down too early. Retires from the race as well. He's decided that is his race run here.
That is not going to bode well with the stewards, I can tell you that now. Contact with the wall, okay, yeah, a bit of frustration. Then second contact with the wall in just sheer anger, retiring from the session. I mean, it is what it is. You've got to move on as this battle continues then. And, well, that's the retiree of Adam Thompson there in the background. I thought a car went off for a second. But Chewy still fighting Fleming here, and this has been an exceptional battle, albeit a very scrappy one.
Certainly is. And, you know, we mentioned about tyre temperatures here in Albert Park. It wasn't necessarily a concern during qualifying when we had the wet weather conditions, but now it is well and truly dried up into a proper Australian afternoon. It really shows how much pressure those tyres are under, and the moment they overheat through the exit of turn 14, you saw that double spin, which was really always going to happen. Chewy now trying to inherit 5th place, looks to the outside, switch to the inside in an absolutely outrageous move. But Chewy gets it done in towards turn 9. I think caught Edward napping a little bit. Edward went to defend that outside line. He watched Chewy and was anticipating another move around the outside into turn 9. Opened the door on the inside and Chewy went through and wham bam, thank you ma'am.
Bit wide there by Fleming, but it's all good for now. 3/10 is the gap, and this will give them a good opportunity as long as they get a good exit out of 14. And oh, it's a spin. It's a spin on track. I said we were going to see it, right? We had to see it at least once. A bit too early on the throttle, and around you go.
Yep, and that's now 2 cars that have fallen foul to that exact corner. Thankfully, only one of them retires on the circuit. We get a replay here. And yeah, just losing it, maybe a little bit under traction, the exit of 14, and doing a bit of a pirouette to the home crowd here in Australia. We're right on board with Proven on what is now the closing laps of this Grand Prix. We're on 24 of 29. We'll have 5 to go next time we cross the start-finish line. And still, these two battling it out. They have not given each other a moment of peace. Diving to the inside of turn 11 goes Proven. Stepney Luke trying to hold it around the outside line. Still 2 by 2 they run. This time, though, Proven gets the better of Stepney Luke, who goes wide out of turn 12 into 13 and 14. Yellow flags fly, and who's that off the circuit? I think that's Hot Devil Dog. Almost over a lap down now, should I say. But this battle up at the front to the inside, hugging that pit wall is Proven, not wanting to give any slipstream to Stepney Luke behind because he knows how powerful he's been over every course of DRS, and they'll get it once again down towards turn number 3. That gold-plated car, which surely must weigh a ton, will try to go side by side into turn 3. The outside line compromised and Proven holding on by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, very good racing here from second and third place. It's been a very interesting dynamic throughout the entirety as well. Runes has gained a second in the last lap. We'll be hoping for more battles like that, just to chip away at that time as well. Stevie Mac looking for an opportunity at turn 3. Around the outside, will they make it stick? It's contact, but nothing too drastic there. I mean, Stevie Mac makes the move stick, but I think, again, sorry, no, that is Stevie Mac on the outside of Fleming. I feel like Fleming would be a little bit annoyed with that, but again, it's just, I think it's a solid overtake, to be honest.
I think if any report maybe got put in about that, it was going to be 6 of one, half a dozen of another. They both, I would say, left fair racing room. I think Stevie potentially anticipating more room to be left on the inside, as Fleming might have just moved over to open up turn 4, but nonetheless, nothing coming from it. Proven having a bit of slide there. We saw the exit, entering the exit of turn 13. We ride again here as Fleming looks to the inside, feints the outside, sends the inside into turn 12, goes deep. The switchback from Stevie Mac. Take a bow, because that was simply spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, Fleming has been going for that move all race, and it hasn't worked out for them. And Stevie Mac managed to keep it clean down the inside, and will probably look to break away from the DRS zone after that mistake, but Fleming keeping them honest. But no, there you go, outside of that DRS range. Nope, I'm wrong again. That delta keeps changing. I keep being lied to, as Fleming has picked up DRS here just to keep on the back end of Stevie Mac. But this fight for second place then still going. Proven looking to make it round at the outside, and it looks like Stevie Luke just allowing that one pass, realize they're beat, and will go again on the next lap.
Got a replay on the right-hand side of that initial move from Stevie Mac at the exit of turn 3, or the exit of turn 3, trying to open up 4 and 5 in the run in towards sector 2. We ride on board once again with Stephanie Luke, and these two not giving each other any inch of headroom because they want to know. Oh, a little mistake there from Proven. Just touched a tyre on towards the grass. At the exit of 13, almost sent the car round. Did a very good job to hold it and keep the car pointed in the right direction. And now we're seeing the tactical game from Stephanie Luke. This is spectacular. He's not going for the overtake yet here, Deromus. He's going to wait until the final lap. They know how many opportunities you have to pass. And again, I think he's going to use the DRS maybe to his advantage. No, he's waiting. He did not wait. He tries the outside of 3. He'll open up the inside of 4. And there we go. Stephanie Luke, with a little bit of false confidence from us here in the commentary box, gets back into second place.
No, I think that was a brilliant move around the outside. Just left it right to the very last moment. And once Proven was just off their line enough, it looked like Stephanie Luke had that opportunity, but the comeback is on then. Down the back straight, DRS open, looking to probably make a move down the inside. Stephanie Luke just leaving it again. I mean, you can't keep doing this every lap, otherwise you will be behind, but a bit of a wobble. But Proven corrected well and will get that exit speed on that. Stephanie Luke just taking some time here, playing the strategic game, playing the long game. There's still 3 laps left to go of this race, of course, and Stephanie Luke will look to try and make every opportunity count.
I think we're heading on towards the penultimate lap of this race. Stephanie Luke has got to do something different in this moment in time if he wants to be in the second step of the podium. We watch Edward G. Fleming here again, somewhat in no man's land, and oh, a little mistake through the exit of 10. What timing to switch to him as he loses the car at the exit of turn 10 into the gravel. BRA goes through, and again, I think that's just the tyres starting to fall off quite dramatically, and he wanted to try and save it as best he could, not necessarily the best ways he could, but we rejoined the fight up at the front, and I was going to say that Stephanie Luke is going to have to do something different here. I was anticipating him not passing in this section of track. He's going to wait until turn 9, long straight at the exit of this right-hander, where he can really start to push the car, and then they're off kilter for the final lap. He has the opportunity, should Proven come back at him at that first stretch, to then re-overtake. But again, it puts the move in Proven's hands. It's a very decisive opportunity. Do they go for it here, or are they going to wait for the last lap to try and make that decision made?
I feel like they're going to have to make it here, no? I mean, they're a bit too far back to think about it. Yeah, they are going to wait till the last lap. And as we talk about the last lap, I mean, Phoenix, 20 seconds up the road.
Yeah, you can see him already has crossed the start-finish line already in towards the first two corners. Ed Charles, with 10 seconds worth of penalties for speeding in pit road. I think this could be a fastest lap attempt from the driver down in P10. They know they're safe from Hog Devil Dog by a good lap or so, but we watch on board with the battle of P2. Now is when Stepney Luke has to make a decision. I don't think he'll make it here. It'll be silly to make it into turn 3 because we know how many times Proven has got this move made back in towards turn 9. And again, he sat behind. He uses the DRS to his advantage, and he's trying to charge the battery as much as he possibly can. And up at the front, Phoenix rounding through what traditionally was turn 8 towards the chicane of turns 9 and turns 10. He's got just 4 more corners to try and navigate if he wishes to try and bring this car home successfully. He started from the front, and he will almost certainly finish at the front. It's been a very dominant drive, and one that will lead him towards a championship contention. A very mature drive this afternoon, not waiting and not wanting to try and get involved in anybody else's battles. Further back, Stepney Luke has made the move into turn 9, which will make him up to second place. But Schumacher won here in Melbourne 4 times. They say the first time is always the sweetest, and for Phoenix in BFBS will win here in Australia to take victory and more points back to his championship charge. And surely we look back now because Runes has joined the battle for second place on the circuit here. Stepney Luke waited for the opportune moment, made it count in turn 9. Stepney Luke will finish second on the podium. Prover will come home in third. And Runes, who tried the 2-stop strategy, couldn't quite make it work here this afternoon, but 4th place nonetheless.
Yeah, what an opportunity for second, third, and fourth. I mean, Runes is going to be annoyed that they were right there on that final lap, just caught up to them. One more lap, and you would have seen an insane battle for second place. But Stepney Luke played that so well, just kept it right to the last minute to make that overtake happen. I don't think Proven will be too distasteful about that. It was a well-driven second and third for the both of them, and Stevie Mack and Chewy crossed the line 5th and 6th, BR8 in 7th, and Bomber to cross in 8th. Edward G. Fleming, and what could have been for them in, well, was 5th at one point, will have to cross the line down in 9th place.
Certainly. So what a race. I said Australia was going to be one of those that gave us such dramatic moments. It reminded me somewhat of Austria, where it was just fantastic racing from start to finish. The battles never seemed to cease from up here in the commentary box. And albeit our prediction slightly earlier, there's only one safety car. So I think you win on that one, because we will call a virtual safety car a safety car.
I think I've done well there. I mean, I did expect a few more. I lowballed it with one, and I'll take it. I'll take that award. But right now, the award ceremony for the top 3 drivers, and Phoenix getting a bit comfortable on that top spot.
He is indeed, and almost certainly, I think, as we head in towards round 7 of 8 next week, I wouldn't be surprised if there is a situation where he can win it a week early before we even head into what will be week 8. The accolades on screen: Phoenix with both the fastest lap and your race winning. A driver of the day goes to Chewy, and Stevie Mack picking up the most overtakes on the circuit. And we're going to bring everyone back together to round off this show. We'll go through points and tallies in the next few moments.
And I mean, my oh my, what a race there to start with. First of all, non-contact sport. What's that about then, Doromus?
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely chaos from start to finish in terms of, well, I mean, I say chaos. There was some very good battles, and then there was some very dodgy battles throughout the entirety. I mean, second and third, we've already commented on how incredibly well disciplined both drivers were. And then a little further down the order, you saw the chaos. There were overtakes being made that shouldn't have been made. There were trains forming that all of a sudden broke apart because they went for an ambitious move. And hey, it's been an entertaining Australian Grand Prix.
Tom, anything you want to add to that about maybe talk us about the track limits or track suggestions, should we say, a little bit here?
Yeah, I think it was one of those races where we really saw drivers wanting to push the cars as best they can, and we saw a lot of track limit excursions to the point where we saw someone creating a new racing line through turn 10, which will almost certainly be talked about for Pro League in seasons 3, 4 and beyond. And I think one of these circuits where it is so narrow the walls, you have to take every opportunity that you can to gain a little bit of an advantage. But I think a few drivers might have gone a little bit over ambitious with that tonight.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. Now, we talked a lot about some of these smaller little bit of these battles going on. If you would rate maybe your favorite battle and the battle that made you grit your teeth the most, who are we saying top spots? Would rather not see again next week. Tom, do you want to start us off?
I think for my top spot, it has to be that battle between Stepney, Luke, and Proven. They gave it absolutely everything out there on the circuit, and you're never quite sure which way that was going to flow for most of the race. And we saw a lot of overtakes from Stepney, Luke, a lot of overtakes from Proven. And as we headed into that final 3 or so laps, I thought Luke was gonna throw it away just by going over ambitious into turn 3 like he'd done time and time again. But actually, he waited, got the move done into turn 9, which was the smart thing to do on the final lap, took the position and actually took P2 as a result of it. On the flip side, maybe Stevie Mac's first approach in towards turn 1 where he took out one of the drivers probably isn't the shining of all moments.
I mean, it definitely was, sparks were flying there. What about you, Jeromus? You got any highlights, lowlights?
I mean, not to copy Tom, but yeah, absolutely Proven and Stebney Luke's battle had to be the highlight of this Grand Prix,
Yeah.
right? It was constant back and forth, even after the pit debacle. They both pit at the same time, which meant they came out at the same time and ended up continuing that battle. There was no disparity within the strategy, so it kept things interesting throughout. Now, yeah, Stevie Mac and Edward Fleming, cease the dive bombs. As entertaining as they can be, it can cause a lot of frustration around you, but it makes it pretty good to commentate in the box.
It's definitely been interesting. There was no doubt about that in our minds. Anyway, we are going to head to a short little bit of a break just while we tally up the points and we can bring you the leaderboard. But don't go anywhere. We'll be back very soon. Welcome back, everybody, for the last time tonight. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. Points make prizes, and let's see who is taking home the juiciest prize of them all. Well, we already know. The real question is right now, let's not beat around the bush. At what point has Phoenix just won? Because I think you did the maths, didn't you? 29 points tonight is what he's gone home with, Tom.
Yeah, it was actually Deromas that did the maths. I can't take credit for that in the slightest. But no, it was a fantastic race win. And obviously taking the 3 bonus points for qualifying first, the additional point for fastest lap as well, really puts him in a good place heading into the final 2 rounds.
And Romas, you did the maths. I apologise there for miscrediting it. Now, do you think there's anyone that can stand in the way? Now, we'll have a look at the tally in a second, but someone would have to pull something miraculous out, surely, to try even match this.
Yeah, I think Phoenix is going to have to bin it into a wall at our next Grand Prix, and then proven to win and get the qualifying bonus points to stay within contention. I think for the final Grand Prix, I think those are the odds that we're looking at here for this one. But I think Phoenix is well and truly comfortable on his way to winning the first BFBS Pro League F1 Championship.
I think so. I think we have the leaderboard ready to take a look at, and we can see just what the disparity is at the moment. And I mean, plus 25 is just a ludicrous number for any one person to be taking home. Stephanie Luke's really kind of been proving himself, and talking of proving proven's getting up there as well. There's a couple more names coming into this. And to be honest with you, I think, Hot Devil Dog was so close to scoring points just by default at the end there.
Yeah, it's looking very close, and I think as we head into the final couple of rounds, there's still a lot to really look out for. I've seen as well from chat, and this probably really opens up a measure of conversation. Phoenix isn't here next week.
Ooh.
Oh.
That is the possibility, isn't it? There's that little bit of doubt, but I think he's just been so dominant that the question is that small window of opportunity. And then, of course, if he comes back for week 8, because there's still 2 more weeks to go, it is whether that can be the conversation. Now, if we're going to turn our attention maybe to the future, Jeromus, if you want to kick us off, Japan's up next week. We're going to Suzuka. Now, you got any thoughts here? What about this track makes it so unique?
I mean, obviously, it's a figure 8 circuit, the only one of its kind in the F1 calendar, and a very technical circuit at that. Sector 1, the Suzuka S's, they're famously known as, and as you can take a look at the track here, 18 corners. There's plenty of technical maneuvers to have. The hairpin at the end, at the middle of Sector 2 as well. But then you've got that very high speed section in Sector 3, Tom.
You're absolutely right. It's the run through 130R, and just right before the speed trap you see on your screens at the moment, that is going to be the key overtaking opportunity in towards the Casio Triangle. And if you look on the track map very quickly, turns 8 and turns 9, the 2 Degner curves, as they're more commonly known, if you go side by side like we've seen here today, you are not making it through those corners. They are very narrow and very fast flowing corners. And I think drivers are going to really have to put on their street spots next week to make sure they see the end of the race.
Yeah, I mean, if this week was anything to go by, chaos is written into the DNA of this league. Now, was there anyone, I'm creating a new award for tonight, and we're going to use it for the final couple of weeks. We're going to call it Chaos Agent of the Day. Who are we awarding this to? Because I feel like this is just ramping up now. Who is your number one devil for causing the most chaos? Tom, kick us off.
Stevie. Not even a question about it, Stevie. I'm sorry. I know him, and I know he'll probably have a go at me in chat later, but it's absolutely Stevie.
What about you, Deromas? Are you in agreement here?
I kind of want to give it to Edward.
Ooh,
just the amount of chaos I've seen them on
case.
track. Yeah. Because the amount of chaos I've seen them on track today has been top notch. Every time you see them trying to make an overtake, it's always that ambitious dive bomb down into turn 12 that just never works out, and then ends up wrapping themselves around other cars that they probably shouldn't be around.
Exactly. But next week is going to be exciting. We've got Phoenix away, which leaves potentially that top spot open for somebody else. And I know we've all got favourites for who we want to see pushing that, finally getting that first place on that podium. So we'll have to find out. But unfortunately, that is going to be it for tonight. But come back next week, Suzuka, 7:30 p.m. BST, right here on the BFBS Esports channel. I've been Affinity. I've been joined by the wonderful Tom Knight and Deromus, and have a wonderful evening.